We're getting a divorce. You're useless to me now, and don't expect to get any of my retirement money." My husband, clearly looking down on me, had a creepy grin on his face. Such a husband made me uncomfortable. This is ridiculous. I can't believe he's saying such nonsense out of nowhere. What does he think I am? We've been married for 30 years. I've always supported him as his wife through thick and thin, and this is how he repays me. Clearly, he never saw me as anything more than a housekeeper. Well, if that's how it is, I won't hold back either. I'll make him pay for all these 30 years I've put up with him. My name is Haley Johnson, and I'm 53 years old. I've been married to my husband, Jameson, who is 6 years older than me, for 30 years. We have a son and a daughter. Our son, Colton, became independent when I was 48, and our daughter, Natalie, did the same when I was 50. Now both of them work for different companies and live on their own. Since Natalie moved out, my husband and I have had more time to ourselves. Since the birth of my children, everything has been child-centered, and it has been difficult to prioritize time with my husband. But finally, I can spend time alone with him again as a couple. But reality was far different. After Natalie moved out and it was just the two of us, I realized Jameson wasn't the man I thought I knew. I noticed this change a few days after Natalie left. "Hey, Jameson, now that Natalie's gone, it feels a bit lonely, doesn't it?" "Jameson, are you listening?" "Oh, what is it?" Even though I casually spoke to him, his responses were slow and detached. He kept staring at his phone, barely acknowledging me. Feeling annoyed, I continued. I said it's lonely without Natalie. It's been over 20 years since we've had time alone together like this. Yeah, I guess. Hey, what's with you? Can't you at least listen when I'm talking? Oh, shut up, I'm busy, can't you see? Busy. You're just fiddling with your phone. You wouldn't understand. I'm busy, so stop talking to me. He suddenly shouted angrily, stood up from the sofa, and shut himself in his room. I hadn't noticed it before because Natalie was around, but his behavior was clearly off. This was the first time I really saw it. What was that attitude about? Why did he have to yell at me like that just for trying to talk and claiming he's busy with his phone? Frustration and resentment toward him began to bubble up inside me. I started remembering how he was never helpful with raising the kids or doing any housework. Since that day, his behavior only got worse. He spoke to me in a harsh tone as if I were a convenient servant. "Haley, when will you ever make a decent meal?" "What? Where did that come from? I've always thought your cooking was terrible." "Ha! How many years have you been a housewife?" "Life, what is that?" "That's the way you talk to me when I'm having something made for you. Making meals is, think about how I feel being forced to eat this awful food. That's cruel. I didn't know you felt that way. I only kept quiet because the kids were around. I've thought it for years but never said it out loud." Jameson strutted around like he was proud of himself for keeping quiet. Even without saying it outright, it was clear he looked down on me. Such days lasted for about 3 years and continued to this day. His attitude hasn't changed, and lately his tone has been even harsher. Just the other day, when I came back from shopping, he sighed and said, "You're a housewife. Don't be so careless with your shopping. That's money I earned anyway, isn't it?" "What? I bought these with money I earned from my freelance work." "Freelance? Ha! Like that makes any real money." "Just admit it, you wasted my money." "No, that's not true. Stop making assumptions." My voice grew louder out of sheer frustration. Jameson glared at me and sighed, looking annoyed. This is why having a wife who doesn't realize she's being supported is a pain. You probably think you're so great just because you do housework. Ridiculous. "Huh? What is that supposed to mean?" "I don't think I'm great for doing housework." "Stop pretending to be the perfect wife." "Ha! I know you're only interested in my money. From next month, your allowance is cut to $700. "No, you can't be serious." Since our daughter moved out, he had been giving me $1,000 a month for household expenses. It was already tough to manage on that, covering food, utilities, and daily necessities. On top of that, my husband is a daily drinker, so I had to keep beer in the fridge at all times, or he gets mad. I always made sure to keep things stocked up to avoid his anger, but a big chunk of the grocery money went to buying alcohol. I was already supplementing the budget with my freelance income, and now he wanted to cut it by $300. I'd have to cut back even more. I could only work part-time from home, making about $900 a month. I already used $300 to $400 of that to cover expenses. If he reduced the allowance to $700, I'd have to contribute another $300 myself. Of course, it is not impossible, but if this lifestyle continues, the amount of money that can be put into savings will decrease. Jameson's job still provided stability, but he was due to retire in a few months. However, his actions were becoming more and more incomprehensible, feeding my anxiety. One day, I met up with my daughter Natalie after a long time. After enjoying some time together, I headed back home, only to feel an immediate sense of unease when I walked in. What on earth? I noticed the closet doors were wide open. My branded bags, bought with my savings. Before we got married, my jewelry box was empty too. The rings and the pearl necklace my mom gave me as a wedding gift were gone. Moreover, only the valuable items were missing. What is going on? How could all the valuable items just disappear like that? Could it be a burglar? But Jameson was supposed to be home. I decided to ask him directly. "Jameson, do you know what happened to my bags and jewelry?" "Huh. Oh, I sold them." Sold. I was completely stunned by my husband's unexpected response, and my mind went blank for a moment. Seeing my reaction, he sneered and said, "You're over 50 now. You don't need branded items or jewelry, right? So I sold all of it." "You sold them? You're joking, right?" "Not a chance. It fetched a decent amount of money. I put it all into our savings." "This is terrible. Why would you do something like that?" "Terrible? Don't get cocky just because you're a housewife. You live off my earnings, remember." He threw a beer can at me from across the table. It hit my head hard, and the contents splattered on my clothes. As I stood there speechless, he looked at me with a triumphant expression. My patience was wearing thin, nearly at its breaking point. To make matters worse, I discovered he was cheating on me. It happened when I saw a message on his phone while he was in the shower. "I can't wait to see you, boss. Let's live together once you retire, okay? I'm much younger than your wife, aren't I?" Since she called him boss, the other woman must be someone from his company. I couldn't believe he was having an affair with someone much younger than me. As I was struggling with this, I got a call from my daughter at just the right time. "Let's get together for your birthday with Colton," she said. On my birthday, while the three of us were having dinner, my daughter gave me a curious look and asked, "Mom, is something wrong?" "Huh? Well, why do you ask? You seem different somehow. Are you hiding something?" "No, nothing like that." "Wow, you're really shaken up. Could it be about Dad?" "What? Did I hit the nail on the head?" "Mom, you're so easy to read. Apparently, no matter what I tried to hide, my kids could see right through me. I decided to tell them about their father's affair. Actually, your dad is cheating with someone from his company." Both of them immediately reacted. "What? Cheating? Dad? Gross. Seriously?" "I happened to see a message on his phone. Maybe he sold my bags and jewelry to spend money on her. I can't believe he'd betray you like this after everything you've done for us." "Right? It's so disgusting. Mom, you need to get solid proof." "Proof? But his phone is locked." "Nowadays, there are detectives and other options." "Yeah, Colton, and I can pitch in for the cost, so you should get it investigated." "Thank you, Colton. Natalie, Taking their advice, I contacted a detective agency and asked them to investigate my husband's affair. Though my children offered to cover the costs, as expected, I declined. Hiring a detective would further drain my savings. Still, I decided it was better to clarify everything and end things rather than continue living with him. 2 weeks later, I went to get the investigation results, and the agent started with a somber tone. "Miss Haley, as you suspected, your husband is indeed having an affair." "I knew it. Is it with someone from his company?" "Yes, it's with a subordinate. Her name is Noah Hernandez, and she's 30 years old." "She's 30. That's over 20 years younger than me. This kind of affair is quite common. They cozy up to someone close to retirement and aim to get a share of the retirement money." "So you're saying she's after his retirement money?" "I can't say for certain, but it's a possibility." "I see." Leaving the detective agency, I took the evidence of the affair and headed to a lawyer's office next. There I discussed divorce settlements and damages for the unauthorized sale of my belongings. That night, I sat on the sofa waiting for my husband to come home. I had a voice recorder hidden in my pocket, just in case to have evidence. He finally came home after 11 p.m. I stopped him as he tried to go to his room and immediately started the conversation. "I need to talk to you." He looked down at me and scoffed. "Perfect timing. I've got something to tell you, too." "Something to talk to me? You're useless to me now. Do you understand what that means?" "Useless? You mean I'm divorcing you and you're not getting any of my retirement money?" In that moment, I felt a huge crack in my heart. Useless? No retirement money? I had reached my breaking point. I glared at him sharply. "Divorce? Why all of a sudden?" "It's not sudden. I wanted to leave you for a long time. You don't do a very good job of housework. You're ugly and old, and there's nothing attractive about you as a woman. See, you can't even argue back. Now that the kids are grown and there's nothing valuable left, you're completely worthless. Understand? Got it? Fine. When do you want to do this?" "Huh? Do you even understand what I'm saying?" I scattered the photos of his affair in front of him. He looked at the multiple photos, his eyes wide with anger, then glared at me. What are these?" "I found out about your affair a while ago, but I didn't have proof. So I hired a detective agency to investigate." "A detective agency?" "Yes, so I know everything, including the fact that your lover is a 30-year-old subordinate." "Whoa, what? You know that much?" "My story is the same as yours. I don't want to continue this marriage with someone like you. Let's get a divorce." He then gave a creepy smile and spoke confidently. "Fine. All I have to do is pay alimony, right? I'll pay it. Satisfied? Not just alimony. You also sold my belongings without permission. I'll be seeking damages for that too." "Do what you want. I'm retiring in a few months anyway. I'll get my retirement money then." "Are you planning to pay the alimony and damages with that money?" "Of course. Even after paying that, I'll have plenty left. By the way, your affair partner is Navy Hernandez, right? You admit that?" "Yeah. So what? I'm going to marry an AA and be happy." "Well, good. I'm glad you're such an idiot." I took the voice recorder out of my pocket and pressed the stop button. Seeing this, he stood there with his mouth open. "Dummy, what's that?" "You still don't get it." Not understanding the situation, he muttered a faint, "huh," and looked at me with a puzzled expression. "Thanks for talking so much. I'll be taking this recording to report you to your company." "What? Why? You're kidding, right? If you do that, my position at work will be—" "Your position at work? You had an affair with a subordinate 30 years younger than you." That's. Please forgive me. I'll pay the alimony." He finally understood his precarious position. Tears welled up in his eyes as he desperately begged me, but his pleas did nothing to change my feelings. The words he had thrown at me, the way he had treated me, all of it was burned into my memory. "You're too soft. I won't let you off that easily. I'm going to get my revenge thoroughly. Releasing my pent-up anger, I spat these words at him. Forgive you, because you'll pay alimony. Don't be ridiculous. Do you think paying alimony makes everything okay? At that point, you're already done as a human being. Do you even understand what it was like for me to live with you all these years? Do you understand how it feels to be treated like a slave? Haley, I get it. I get it. So calm down. How can I stay calm in this situation? You've been the worst as a husband and as a father. You betrayed me and the kids, and you think paying alimony will make it all better? Life isn't that easy. Haley, please wait. You're going to face the consequences for this. Don't think you'll get off lightly. He collapsed on the spot, his eyes vacant. Even seeing him like this, I felt no sympathy whatsoever. Afterwards, I took the evidence to my husband's company. To my surprise, I discovered that he had embezzled company money to date with his affair partner. Due to the affair and embezzlement, he was fired from the company. Naturally, he didn't receive a single penny of the retirement money he had been counting on. As a result, he couldn't use his retirement money to pay the alimony and damages. He had no choice but to dip into his own savings, but even that had been spent on his mistress. So he ended up borrowing money to pay me. His mistress, who had been eyeing his retirement money, was also fired from the company. After paying me the alimony, she disappeared from his life. My husband begged me to take him back, but of course I refused and divorced him completely. I now live alone in an apartment close to my daughter's place. Without the restrictions of marriage, I've increased my freelance work and am enjoying a free and easy life. I may feel lonely at times in the future, but I have 2 wonderful children. By cherishing my relationship with them, I intend to live a fulfilling life from now on.